White Sox fans, it is Sox Populi number 145. Once again, I am lucky enough to host the Mothership podcast. Go figure. My time is ticking short, I'm sure, but I live to see one more podcast. Lucky me getting to talk about the Chicago White Sox, who are just on fire. Hey, let's put the title on. Yeah, they are on fire. And I have three of my very best friends from Southside Sox here. We got Ryiin, we got Dante Jones, we got Chrystal O'Keefe, using up all her free gas miles, not getting the Funko Pop that was really probably, as it turned out, the only purpose to going to Cincinnati to see a game. But hey, right off, before we get into the White Sox and how on fire they are, Chrystal, your impressions of, not sure if you've been before, but your impressions, I've never been, to the Great American Ballpark. Somehow the Cincinnati Reds get a much better, like, homogenous name for their park. We get a homogenous one with an arrow pointing downward, but your impressions of the park?
I've probably been there like 50 times in my life because of the close proximity and my love for baseball. So I love Great American Ballpark. They've had a lot of updates in the last few years even, and everybody that was talking to at the park that had been there for the first time that day were all like, this is actually a really cool park. And they've got, the concourse is huge. You've got a ton of space. You have so many food options. They have Graders, which is the best ice cream in the Midwest. And it's just a cool place. Like, there's not a bad seat. It's a really good ballpark, and people do not give it the respect it deserves. Also, it's attached to the Reds Hall of Fame Museum. And I wrote about that in Visiting Dugout, how you should visit it. But it's like the first level is all just kind of a new exhibit. So the last time I was there, it was like, I think it was like celebrating Latino baseball. And then this time it was like women in baseball. So like they have this cool museum, and then the second and third level is mostly Red stuff. But it's just so cool. And I love it. I will go back to that ballpark anytime.
Krista, remember when the White Sox used to have a museum in the ballpark? And then they got rid of it for another store.
Hey, there was a museum. There was a museum in.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. It was right behind the plate.
My memory is Swiss cheese now because I have no recollection of this, and I've been going to that ballpark.
Well, you already knew all your history, Ryiin. So it's like, okay, I don't let the other people learn the history, right? What is a park? If you can help me, Chrystal, is there a park that you would consider Great American Ballpark somewhat comparable to, or?
So I also really like Comerica in Detroit.
Okay, I was going to suggest that.
Yeah, both parks have kind of this really cool area to take your kids when they get restless during baseball game, because you know it can be long. Like Comerica has like a carousel in the middle, and,
right?
Like, a bunch of food options and like fun things to do. And then at Great American, they've got this. It's even bigger. Like, it's this massive space, and there's like a party barn and a ton of food options and like this huge playground. And then you go and there's like all this other stuff for kids to do, like a batting cage and like a pitch, like where you can go and pitch. And like, it's insane how much there is. And like, there's a huge like restaurant in there, like a bar. Like, it's so cool. And I love Great American. And I was happy that people got to explore. Also, the mascots are like constantly running around. Like, we got a picture with Rosie.
Right.
And
the gal companion to the traditional Big Red Machine guy, right?
Yeah, Gapper was out and about too, so like it's a good ballpark. Especially, it's really family friendly.
You're being so positive. I will criticize the park on your behalf, then, Chrystal. Just at least one too few giveaways when it comes to Johnny Bench and the Funko Pop. Get with it. Some people travel long distances, and maybe they can't make it in time to get their Funko Pop.
I was a little mad, actually. I'm going to talk about this really fast.
Okay.
So I got there like fairly early. I got there like almost an hour before the game started, and I went in to this gate. There was no line, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. Like, they don't have them there. Apparently, they were just like in one area, and you could take as many as you wanted.
Oh, come
I saw
on.
people that had like 5 or 6 of them. And I was like, can you just give me one? Like, it's not even for me at this point. It's for my aunt that idolizes him
Yeah.
because she was a catcher on an all boys team and she admired Johnny Bench. And I was like, why can't I just have one?
Yeah.
So
Chrystal, that sounds to me like a very ill-conceived giveaway to have one table with 10,000 and no other gate with any.
yeah.
That seems like they didn't think that out, and they've been around for a while. I've heard Cincinnati's had a team for a while. You'd think they would maybe have figured that
For a
out.
while, yeah.
Huh.
I mean, for some reason, that's something that the White Sox haven't messed up as much as them. That's wow. So
They just make you wait to get into the park every single game.
Right, like we can't you know, Sox Park is bad at a lot of things, but like actually having stuff to give away. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna blame Cincinnati fans, even though I don't actually have anything against Cincinnati fans. Like most of that article I wrote was tongue-in-cheek jest because I personally have nothing against them, other than that abomination that they call chili, which I've never had, but it looks awful.
You're smart to stay away from it. Yeah,
I have to beg on it.
A bad time. It looks like a night in the bathroom.
Well, it looks like more cheese than anything else, and I can't eat cheese. So therefore, that would very much would be a night in the bathroom for me, even if I tried it. So that's a hard thing for me. It's just an easy target, and you know, I didn't get a lot of tweets. Like I didn't get a lot of hate tweets from fans, so I just had to go with something. You know, you fill space where you can.
Yeah. Thought for a second there that Cincinnati was smart enough to immediately Amazon drone deliver a Funko Pop to Chrystal, and she had to go run and get it at the door. But apparently not, because she'd be showing it off. Also, it seems like about 8 weeks ago. Forgive me for overlooking it, but a debut. There's how's it called? No, Your Enemy. Ryiin, a very good job. A very interesting sort of like skew into history, given the fact that, you know, the Reds do have some. So that was a cool read. You know, got some digs in, but also, hey, we learned some stuff too. So well done there. That guy's fired up. Hey, maybe that was the reason for the 2 wins. I mean, you know, you may never get to not do one now.
I was not predicting a series win. I'd look at the pitching matchup. Friday, you probably lose because I'm forgetting his Cincy starter. Great ERA. You like lefties. I'm like, maybe, but look who we forces. Like we essentially have a battle of bloated ERA. Second or another. They lost them out today. So I'm not a prediction game. So yeah, who knows?
We are also battling a little bit of a Morse code microphone situation, I believe, with you, Ryiin. So I don't know if that's something you can take a look at, but we are catching what you are saying, and we will use this as a transition to move into how hot the White Sox are. 5-2 in the last 7 games. I mean, I think that would get you in the playoffs. Unfortunately, here's the other part of that. The White Sox are still the 4th worst in baseball. They're playing a 56 and 106 pace. They're a minus 53, even after today's colossal, how did Hannah put it? Touchdown and 2 field goal win. Still a minus 53 run differential that's tied for the 3rd worst in baseball. And that run differential projects to a slightly better 59 and a 103. So, you know, bum slay all you want, White Sox. I mean, it's better to win series than not win them. And it's better to have a second winning streak as we get into mid-May. But how are we feeling about the Chicago White Sox? Please feel free to throw some good vibes out there. Hey, Jackie. Or some, appropriate vibes, I'll say. But where are we at with the White Sox? Chrystal, you saw them up close and personal. Dante observing very closely. Ryiin anticipating to the point of being smart enough to say they were going to win the series. And look, they fooled you. Where's everybody at with the White Sox right now?
Honestly, I don't want to get emotionally sucked back in. Okay, like that's straight up where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I have rented like my emotional garments over them enough, and like what are we still like 12-23, something like that? I
Yes.
haven't even looked at it, but like even if we went 500, we're still in the hole that far.
Yeah.
And we haven't even played too many good teams yet. Like they dropped 17 runs today, but they're going to go to Kansas City and like score 2 the whole series. Like that's the dread I have. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to enjoy. I'm trying to be positive, but dear God, I just cannot. I cannot let them get me excited about something because April was so colossally bad.
But Ryiin, wait. Everybody's telling me the reason they're 12-23 is because they had such a hard schedule in April. I mean, wait, it was a hard schedule because the teams are good because we played them. Yeah, it's tricky how that works. You can say hard schedule. You can also say, well, because they got to play the White Sox.
I mean,
we are the soft spot on other teams' schedule. Like we are the soft spot.
But yeah, you circle the White Sox these days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say that the thing with the whole soft schedule idea is that who's the most difficult team we faced so far? What? The Rays, who are the best team in baseball. And besides that, has anybody we faced as a team been that good? Like Houston's still sputtering.
Yeah.
And we get to see them after we see Kansas City this week. So that'll be fun.
With Houston, but
one of my favorites.
The Pirates were hot. They've lost like 7 straight now.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's like they haven't faced anybody that's going to be in World Series talks besides Houston, and Houston still has to get back, like has to make up for lost time, just like the White Sox who dug a grave and have to climb up out.
Well said. 10 straight it's not a hole; it's a grave. Very well said, Dante.
You just cannot lose 10 straight, and people are like trying to be hunky dory, like, but we're still in it. We're so back, and it's like, nah, fam, we are not back. Yeah. They have to like. I'm not saying I have no positive, like fully positive energy for the White Sox until they get to 500 again, because at least last year they were like at 500 or like around 500 all the time. They was in a love affair with 500, and now they're one in a love affair with below 500.
I think it was Intentional Walk, one of our readers, who in a late comment to Jordan's article, which was the question, what was the column was, are the White Sox good again? And his or her response was, again? And that sort of speaks to what Dante said. Get back to 500. It seems unlikely they're going to get to 500 at all. So if you're, seriously, any fans out there, and Dante, he's smart enough to not do this, but any fans out there holding their breaths for the White Sox to get back to 500, so then you can fully get emotionally invested in the team again. Oh, geez, I hate to tell you this because, we're all active in a White Sox site, and I run one. However, don't die because you might die.
Sweetie, baby, honey, no, don't do that to yourself because that's not. No,
it's not worth it.
No.
Like, trust us.
No.
Like, you might hate us for saying it right now, but trust us. Invest in the Jerry Reinsdorf team emotionally. Ask me, White Sox fan, Bulls fan, disappointment every time. I was born in 96. I got 3 titles before I could remember them. At least I got the White Sox title while I was able to remember it. But besides that, Reinsdorf is not going to pay people, as we all know. I mean, Andrew Benintendi has the highest paid contract, and still has 0 home runs because his hand injury is still pretty bad. Like, it's a long recovery from that one, if I remember correctly, to get your power back. Meanwhile, the Bulls pay Zach LaVine, and while I'm a Zach LaVine supporter, they also were the 10th best team in the East, and the East has 15 teams. So if you're looking at Reinsdorf teams for your salvation, don't. I'm not saying go to a north side, not at all. I'm saying do what I'm doing now and watch baseball because you love baseball. not because you love your team.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's Janice I saw saying that she roots for players now, not teams. I'm not going to go that far either, but you're welcome to, because it's poverty right now.
Yeah, I root for the White Sox every 4 out of every 5 days, because the 5th day we already know.
Yeah. Trust me, Dante, it really did happen. There were 6 basketball titles. It really did happen. I'm sorry you couldn't witness them, but it did actually happen, and it was awesome. I got to tell you, as someone who had never experienced a title, okay, Bears, but that came and went. Wow, did that come and go?
Yeah.
To root for a dynasty and for a sport I felt a lot closer to, basketball, for them to win, I can remember being on the phone with my dad saying, Dad, is this really going to happen? It was disbelief. And then after the first, is like, they're never not going to win a title again. Oh, imagine
we got a parade in our city every year for 6 out of 8 years,
and a bunch of braggy talk, and it always got
everyone
followed
else
up.
Gets to say we did it once.
Yeah,
Cubs once, White Sox once, Bears once before I was adult.
Yeah.
And then the Blackhawks got 3, but they're such a messed up organization that we kind of don't talk about it.
And Dante, we don't. By the way, we don't count the Cubs. We ain't doing no bleeding.
You can't forget about the
here.
Sky.
We ain't doing the Cubs. Ain't happening.
The Sky, yes, we cannot forget about the Sky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that was our most recent championship, and one that we can be very proud of.
And that was an awesome
enjoyable one
of
the ones I've seen, because again, not the other team in the Chicago area.
Yeah, let's get up to Chrystal. She expended gas, expended her hopes and dreams on behalf of Aunt Johnny Bench superfan. Saw the one player she didn't want to see. Saw a loss, which of course you didn't want to see. Although you sort of saw that one coming.
I was okay with that loss, actually.
Yeah, maybe the late rally.
I literally woke up from a nap to see that they had scored like 5 runs off of him, and I was not upset.
Yeah.
I was at work happy.
It's sick. Yep. Thank you, White Sox. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Rick. But Chrystal, hey, where you at? You actually, you put the gas to it, this weekend. So, anything moving the needle for you at all?
I'm kind of like what Dante said. I'm just watching it at this point just because I have this pure love for the sport. I'm flying in July to New York to also see them play. So, I'm okay.
Willow, come on.
Happy to see that loss, but I was also super excited to watch them score, like 17 runs today. I remember my son just kept peeking in to check the score, and he was like, how is that even happening? And I was like, well, these teams are both bad. But
yeah,
I don't know. The funny part though, last night we had a bunch of Reds fans. We were pretty loud when the Sox did something good. And then when the Reds won, all their fans near us started singing, the hey goodbye. Mm-hmm. And we're like, you're like a game and a half up from us. Our records are similar. Your team still sucks.
4th place too.
Yeah, we beat you the first night. We beat them today. We're so sad that we have to leave the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
Oh, heartbroken.
Yeah. Okay, Joakim Noah, I see you.
Yeah.
Joakim Noah. Hey, Cleveland. Come on now. It ain't Cleveland.
But
Cincinnati, is there that much difference between the two?
No. Cleveland is worse, but Cincinnati's nice.
It's prettier.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's really pretty. I've not been to Cleveland, but I've driven Northern Ohio, very, very boring. Whereas the rolling hills of Cincinnati are quite nice. It's aesthetically, it's interesting.
My joke I always have for Cincinnati is Cincinnati doesn't have its own airport. It's in Kentucky.
It is true. It's in Kentucky. It's also small,
I can't figure out how Cleveland and Pittsburgh they're sort of whatever. They're like the same thing, but Pittsburgh is beautiful and Cleveland is brown. I cannot figure that part out. I was on multiple visits, extremely underwhelmed by Cleveland. Well, sorry, Cleveland.
Cleveland's the river's not catching on fire anymore, so we have to consider that.
This wasn't
The
really
Fiery
good.
River.
I'm a history nerd.
Oh yeah, and you did not. It wasn't a game in Canada, so you did not. There was no explanation for your son, Chrystal. Like, well, it's the exchange rate. That's how they're getting 17 runs. They scored 7, but it just shows up at 17 on the scoreboard. No, these were real American runs. How in the world did that 11-run inning? Wow. Okay, White Sox. I don't know what you're doing. It's time to come out from your hiding spot and play like the 500 team you're supposed to be.
I had some Reds fan respond to a tweet earlier, and he was like, "Oh, the game's not over. The Reds can score a lot of runs." And I was like, "Sure, Jan. Okay."
Yeah. I mean, it is the White Sox, but yeah, that is actually pushing it. You got to be a real sad sack to think that somehow, a dozen runs are somehow in that Cincinnati lineup. No.
There was a joke on Twitter this afternoon that we were actually, when it was 6-1, okay, yeah. I don't trust this league. When it was 7-1, I was like, this league.
Yeah.
So, kind of added in that way where like, know how bad our bullpen is, and like when all of them are, it's very possible to give that lead.
Yeah. We're going to take a break because we have to. And we're going to sell you some stuff. Fans First Sports Network. Very proud, growing, burgeoning, setting records week to week. I don't have to do with baseball. Don't have to do with this podcast. Even though this is the best podcast, Sox Populi is the best podcast on that, whatever, 70-team network, whatever. But I don't know, something like NFL draft, football. There's some football thing going on. Yeah, I think that had to do with the record. I don't know, whatever. But they're going to sell you some stuff. Hey, consider it. Buy it. I bet you that stuff is better than the old guys, what they used to sell you. Oh, I'm sure this stuff's way better, like foot powder that works or whatever it is. Hey, consider buying it. We'll be back in a minute or so to talk more about stuff about the White Sox. Some of it we might even be positive about. Who knows? Hang with us. White Sox fans, again, Brett Ballantini here. Again, sorry. It's still me. Podcast 145. 145. Oh, man. I'm way past my expiration date. Anyhow, this is a White Sox podcast. It's called Sox Populi. Sometimes called Sox Pop. I didn't take Latin, so Sox Pop. We're talking about the White Sox. They're hot. 5-2 over the last 7 games. 5-2. This is the team we've been waiting for. And then they're going to go into Kansas City, as Ryiin has predicted, and blow that series. Anyhow, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about something, just as negative, and that is the injury parade. Eloy, get well soon. Obviously, a freak injury. Not that any injury is like the guy's fault. Oh, Luis Robert blew out his hip. What a jerk. Wow, what, he didn't stretch right or something? Come on.
Not even an injury. It's just...
Right.
Yeah, exactly. True.
It's an emergency.
Yes.
It's a minor medical emergency. It's like
an injury.
How can you,
I'm just happy he's gonna recover. Right.
Right.
Happy to recover from appendicitis, because appendicitis can kill you.
Yeah.
And we don't want that at all.
Yeah. Way to get appendicitis, Eloy. Great. Oh, anyhow, please get well soon. Recovery time, somewhere a month to 6 weeks. Lord, no, it's the White Sox, so it ain't even going to be a month. Okay. We'll see. See you next week, Eloy. But he's out.
We'll make it 8 weeks. Don't worry.
Yeah, or it can go the other way for sure. And Carlos Perez called up catcher. We'll leave it to the White Sox to zag when we expect him to zig. Catcher called up. I don't know if it's because Gismani's also broken. Let's face it, the whole team is broken. So you just pick the hottest bat. And there were actually some. Charlotte ain't bad this year. There were actually some guys to choose from. Oscar Colas, of course, only got a couple games in. He's been mashing. Clint Frazier killed a light at poor Gwinnett's ballpark. Who cares? Georgia. Break all the stuff in Georgia. Sorry, Georgia fans. Big homer there. Victor Reyes been hitting pretty well. So, there was some stuff to choose from. The White Sox chose a catcher. All right. Catcher who sort of can catch. All right, we'll see how that plays out. But the injury parade, Carlos Perez, the choice to move up. White Sox have 4 true outfielders, one of whom, Billy Hamilton, I love you, but one of whom cannot really actually, play offense. Still a very valuable guy who probably should have broke camp with the team, but shouldn't bat. It seems like the outfield's a little thin. Thoughts on this injury turn? Sorry, not injury, ailment turn But again, just another guy on the injured. They didn't call it the ailment list, on the injured list, and a real key bat out. Didn't notice it today, but I'm going to guess it's going to show up as soon as Kansas City.
I think they announced that he's on the IL as of today. I thought I saw that tweet come across, but the fact that they called up a catcher is probably a sign that Yasmani's going to DH for a while. We probably won't see him behind the plate. That swing, that weird swing he took where he was just grimacing in the dugout afterward. You're stuck with, what's his face, Sheets in right field, who, God bless him, he tries. Thank you for that monster home run today. You were speaking of outfielders. What, they have three actual outfielders on the active roster?
Yeah.
4 maybe? I can't even count anymore, but Sheets is not one. But he's going to be your right fielder showing you what he can do. Okay, thank you, Pedro. Yaz is going to be your DH. CB is now your main catcher, and maybe Perez fills in. Who knows? We're seeing way too much of Hanser, even though he's hitting. This is a new phenomenon. Maybe we get Yohan back soon. Who knows?
Yeah.
It can't even keep track anymore. I don't even know who is who and where anybody is, because with this team, it changes by the hour, it seems.
Yeah, well, Ryan, you see my snippy White Sox hating little title there, but I mean, it does expose the fact that this is an extremely poorly constructed team. Rakan's got to wear that. He thinks it fits very well because he doesn't seem to have any misgivings about it. And it's not excusing himself from the job. Apparently, he still feels he is the best person to run the Chicago White Sox, where every turn, every injury, every situation exposes him as a guy who is not necessarily up for this. And sorry, Ken Williams, you sort of get dragged down with that too. Jerry, you're paying all these guys, so you're dragged down too. So, we are at this point, Pedro's dealing with what he can, although again, he is still voluntarily running Gavin Sheets as a part of a right field platoon where he's going to get more of the reps even than Adam Hazley, who is the other part of the platoon. Adam Hazley and Gavin Sheets as well. Chrystal, Dante, say something because I'm getting sad now.
This is a sad.
Okay, I got you, because it's just gonna be sadder. Because why is this team deciding? We have Adam Hazley right here, who doesn't really have the best bat or anything, but he's actually an outfielder. No, we're just gonna put Gavin Sheets in because he can hit home runs sometimes, and we're gonna call up a catcher. Oscar Colas, he wasn't doing the best up here, but he's an outfielder and he has power. He has pop. Maybe call him up. Billy Hamilton, like you said, he doesn't have a bat. He's a designated runner at best right now, but he can play in the outfield. The issue is he has the bat.
Sure.
So as you said, Rick Hahn is pretty not good at getting the right people. He decided to get 15 first basemen and 4 outfielders. And then Eloy Jimenez, who's in the shadow zone of, is he an outfielder? Is he a DH? Is he an outfielder? Is he a DH? We don't know. And we probably still somehow know better than Rick Hahn does. Mm-hmm. That being said, Pedro, I hope he has some idea of how to organize this mess he's been handed in his first year as a manager. And I'm not the guy that's going to be out on him at the end of this year if the White Sox go 24 under 500, because we've already seen that it don't matter who the manager is. This team is not going to be an upper echelon team unless some things break or unless they make some magnificent trade that I don't see happening.
Boy, Dante, you're a sweetheart. I want to be on your Christmas card list. You're not going to be on Pedro Grifol if he's 24 under 500. God bless you, man. You're a sweet man.
I don't think it's his fault. But also, I want to point out, Tim Anderson right now really sucks.
Yeah.
Everybody's injured.
Yeah.
The product that they're putting out is just terrible. And that's not necessarily on Pedro because he was handed a trash fire.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, when guys aren't even doing the most routine things and they're like your all-star franchise player, then that's pretty embarrassing. Mm-hmm. We have him in our logo and he has done nothing of value this season so far.
Yeah, he's pretty much, he is. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, if you can't even execute
that rundown today, I still like. I don't even know what the hell happened. They threw the ball like 5 times and everybody was safe. And like the runner made it back to first base.
But nobody got hurt, Ryiin. I mean, come on. Relatively speaking,
My son knows not to do things like that, and he's in seventh
too many
grade.
throws. Yeah,
Right.
it's too many throws.
Oh, like it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Like Pedro hasn't been great, but this is not on him. Like I'm not going to bag on him too much. I'm not super impressed with what he's done, but he has jack shit to work with.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it that way.
Yeah.
It's just the truth. He was handed an awful dumpster fire of a roster. He's coming into like a team fresh off of Tony freaking La Russa, like quitting because his health couldn't take it anymore. What the hell are we even doing at this point? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it stands to reason, however, that they were a 500 team under Tony La Russa, and Lord knows I'm not backing into complimenting Tony La Russa. This team is not measurably worse than last year. So something's got to give. If I was dogging Ozzie Guillen back in the day, because every year he'd say, I'm teaching these guys to bunt in the spring. Every year he'd say that. The next year he'd say the same thing ad infinitum. I mean, if you're going to criticize a manager for not being able to get I mean, I understand these guys are going to do it or not. If Tim Anderson doesn't want to hit the ball, hit a grounder to the other, move the ball to the opposite side of the field so a runner can advance from second to third, he's not going to do it. I guess I get it. I mean, Grifol benched Luis Robert for maybe being hurt or not being hurt or not talking about or that whole controversy. So I'm not sold, but then I don't send out or get many Christmas cards anymore. So, I mean, listen, I'm not even part of this discussion. But okay, let's get to the most important part of this podcast. The most important part, if my weak attempt at a gangster hat doesn't reveal it. We have a home run celebration, and it involves putting a trench coat on, I think, with patches on it and a hat. And who is? I mean, disclaimer here: this is just a goofy thing to talk about. No one's underwear is going to get bunchy about a home run celebration, right? The medallion was pretty cool, but Daniel Palka was on the team at the time. I'd sort of rather have better players and have a gangster, have them play dress up as gangsters in the dugout. I mean, this is a better situation. Dante has revealed himself as being like, hey, it's cool. And it's something that is going to maybe lighten the mood of a team that's lost 10 games in a row. Seems strange that you're coming up with this when you're in the middle of a 10-game losing. Maybe that's what you need. Seems odd to me. Seems a little weak, but hey, I'm wearing the hat. So, hey, thoughts on the home run celebration? Digging it?
I mean, like I said in the Slack earlier, I was just like, I don't hate it. Like, it's not my favorite one. The what's called the Land of 10,000 Rakes one. I gotta say, I like it as much as I hate the team. It's a good one. I love the Angels one. I like the big hat in Atlanta until New Era told them they had to stop it because
tomahawk chop your ass off, but take the damn big hat off.
Yeah, exactly. Like keep the chop. The chop is fine to them.
Priorities,
But I like the trench coat because it does relate to the history of Chicago in the sense that Al Capone and all that stuff. So, as a dude that grew up watching mafia movies and all that stuff, I enjoy it. I will it's not my favorite thing ever. It also doesn't help that I was at the first game that it was debuted and people kept asking me, are they wearing it? Are they wearing it? Are they wearing it? And I'm like, yeah, you're watching TV. You can see it better than I can. So I like neutral or slightly positive.
All right.
And again, I get the timing thing, but also when you're upset and depressed and you've been a loser for a week and a half, sometimes
dress up like a gangster.
Sometimes you need to play a little dress up. Like you have kids or siblings or whatever, little ones. You take care of them and you play dress up with them to make them happy sometimes.
Yeah.
But sometimes as an adult, you gotta play dress up.
All right. Yeah, fair. Fair. I mean, really, that should be the title card right there. I don't want to sound like a grandpa any more than I normally do, Dante. But there was a time that we'd travel, or even just within the United States, and people would say, "Oh, Chicago, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan replaced gangster Al Capone," which is of course
I was gonna say
Chicago,
he replaced Al Capone.
Chicago rep. So
Which,
it's good that the White Sox are doing what they can to bring that back.
Michael Jordan, but I don't know if there's a basketball gimmick they could do. Like, I don't know if I want a bunch of White Sox players putting on a sweatband like LeBron James.
Yaz is already wearing the jersey.
True.
That's his best contribution to the White Sox. Well, all right, that's
wait,
fair,
no, he's 24, not 23.
All right.
No, but he's rocking he has the jersey.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I mean, the chain. This is my conspiracy theory: is that Tony La Russa banned the chain because it was too much swag.
Oh yeah,
that's just my shot in the dark. I have absolutely zero evidence to back that up. Just my wild opinion.
Well, aside the fact that he celebrates nothing in his life, yeah.
I was saying, like, he's a crotchety old man.
Right.
That would check all the boxes.
Yeah.
That old curmudgeon, is so anti-fun that he probably saw that and was like, nope, day one, that's gone. When they debuted it in the middle of the losing streak, it was kind of weird. Like it was an odd vibe, and like seeing Berger throw it on, we're just like, oh, okay, but they actually responded, so I can't fault them for doing it. I think the coat is tacky looking with all of the patches on it. The hat, I dig the hat. Like, the hat's cool. Rock it. Whatever it takes to get you pumped up. Like, you're losing 10 straight. You feel that emotion as a player. Like, it's doldrums. It's dismal.
Mm-hmm.
Do something to pump yourself up. Cool. I get it. I'm behind that. I just think the coat is tacky.
I've seen the video of maybe a bunch of guys do it, of the Uber driver who has like the dog adoptions. He has like puppies in his car, and people come in and fall in love, and then maybe oftentimes they adopt him. Or maybe I'm just making this up in my head. The one thing Tony would have done, the home run celebration should have involved like a shelter dog. Like, you go to the end of the dugout, you get the leash with the shelter dog, you walk it down the dugout, and you give it a hug, and it licks your face, and that is the celebration. That's the one thing that we know Tony's passionate about, and he probably would have actually allowed that, because that would have been some sort of like charitable thing. Yeah. Anything else? A gaudy chain that that still has polka stink on it? No.
I mean, new chain, new year, all that stuff. But also, like, do we think Tony would have still done that? Like, it would have been nice if he did it. But did we need a dog in the 2022 White Sox dugout? Like, maybe for emotional support, but that dog wouldn't have deserved to be there.
It applies. They needed that support.
Seriously, that poor dog did not deserve to be in the dugout. Like, yeah, why do that to a poor animal?
Exactly.
Well, that is like that. I mean, like, as screwed up as his whatever ever happened. Who even wrote that? Was that Keelan who wrote that story? I don't know. We did a story about the whole controversy with his adoption agency or whatever that is. But I mean, I have to believe that somewhere in all of that is well motivated, and that might be the only decent thing you can really say about Tony La Russa. And that's really the only thing that I would think of as being a legitimate celebration as she tracks her dog. Chrystal, what are you thinking about the home run celebration with the Chicago White Sox?
I hate it so much. It's so gimmicky. To Ryan's point, they brought it out of nowhere because they're like, oh shit, like everybody else is doing something.
Right.
And like there's so many other things Chicago is known for. I mean, God, get a pizza hat for Christ's sake. Like, it is so stupid.
No,
I'm sorry, Dante. I know you like it.
Oh, it's fine. You know what? You know what? We can find a balance. Do the thing that Bears fans like to do when they go to Green Bay and get the cheese graters. That way you can grate the cheese for the pizza hat.
Then you're gonna have people fighting in the comments. Oh, tavern crust is better. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Like, you're gonna nobody's gonna be happy, but just there's so many better things, more positive things.
I feel that. Like, it's one of those, we can work on it, But also, I don't know if they'll do the chain thing because guess who's known for winning a lot of chains when they was in Chicago? 2020 MVP
Hmm.
Jose Abreu.
Mm.
So the organization is a bit stupid, so they might not want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with those 20,000 clip-on goatees that are just sitting in a box somewhere that they don't get to give away for this season because he's not with them anymore.
They
Oh well,
sell
White
them for like
Sox.
$2 at the charity sale.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Get a good deal in gross, Dante, next time around. Yeah, that's the thing that struck me too. The sort of stereotypical Chicago stuff, and I did think Pizza Maker would. So that's next year. Okay, we figured out next year's. What are the ones to come? If this is going to be a thing, because baseball players got to be so swaggy. Um, certainly that would be one of them. I thought immediately that somehow pizza would be involved.
What if they all walk down through the dugout on crutches?
As an indication of just is that just too much reality or
Yeah,
okay?
like it's dark
See,
reality. They just all walk
they
down.
would hurt themselves doing that, though.
I know they would.
I mean, they
we
probably
don't want-
would. Not all of them have leg injuries, and not all of them know how to use crutches. So I can just see one of them like
True.
being stupid and trying
Somebody's
to
tearing a
go
rotator
down
cuff
the
on
stairs,
those things. I know it.
falling over.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Jose Abreu, now in Houston, was sliding on the concrete of the dugout. What was that? Just last year in his like excited giddy celebration, and we all said, "Oh my God, what in the world are you doing?" But if he's the one guy who's
Out there playing every day.
pardon me,
Yeah.
Jose, testicles aside, never injured. So I mean, you can't really knock that guy down. And of course, now he's doing it in Houston.
See, my thought now is that we were talking about the hat. Like the Chicago style hot dog is renowned. Like
hot dog was next.
big, giant hot dog hat. It doesn't matter how silly it looks. It's very Chicago, and why the hell not? It's better than that tacky jacket. I'm sorry.
But then,
the
as
thing is,
Chrystal said, you'd have fights about ketchup on the hot dog or not. So then you're
true.
going to have condiment fights too.
I will say with the jacket though, the jacket
Yeah.
itself is cool. Like everybody has said, it's the tackiness of the logos and everything.
Yeah, the
like,
NASCAR patches I think can go.
exactly. Like it looks like a jersey from like a European soccer team. Just
they can't get
trying to
sponsorship
make
for their
as much
jerseys.
money as possible. So I can't wait until because like Atlanta and New Era until someone's like, well, we're the official distributors of White Sox merchandise, so you have to have our logo and our logo only.
Mm-hmm. And we have to provide you the official starter duster. You can't wear that one anymore. You have to burn it ritually. Burn it. Hey, what are the White Sox? Okay, here's the unsaid speed round, and that is I don't even have an answer, so maybe one of you on the tip of your tongues will. The White Sox teams are starting to trickle out their gaudy uniform patches. The New York Mets debuted one that was roughly the size of a page of notebook paper, and they did smartly both adapt team colors and shrink it. But not all teams have them. The White Sox do not. We would think the White Sox will be close to last to debut theirs. Oakland probably won't get one, or maybe they will. But the White Sox are going to probably, if they ever get one, it's going to be the village of Bedford Park. Sure. But that said, what is the White Sox sponsorship going to be? Any thoughts?
A gigantic red down arrow on their shoulders.
Oh God.
That's the first thing that comes to mind. Like those commercials are awful as they are. But it's not even going to match the red and black. Like, we're going to lose the shoulder socks, and it's just going to be a gigantic ass red down arrow for all of us to live in shame for supporting this god awful team.
Yeah, they are. If you're watching on YouTube, there it is in our logo. The White Sox have ditched it. Other than on the City Connects, they've ditched it from their logo, or from their jerseys, which was one of the definite cool things about the roadie. And that's off now. So you're not even displacing that sock anymore. But oh my God, I feel so bad for bringing this up because of course it's going to be that goddamn down arrow. And there's going to be no talking to Guaranteed Rate about it. They're going to be like, no, we paid you $350 this year for the rights. So we're going to say what we want. And it's going to be, our players are going to be running around with a down arrow on their sleeves. Is there any possible rescue from that fate, Chrystal or Dante? Or is that just what it's going to be?
What if they do Colleen from Xavier?
Oh, okay.
She's pretty cool.
Okay.
There are a lot of those commercials.
All right.
Bring her
Well, it's
back.
better than a down arrow.
It's a lot better.
All right. Dante, are we fated to just have a down arrow, or can you escape this?
Down arrow could happen. I can see the White Sox just partnering up with Atletico Physical Therapy because it'd be so on brand. It's ridiculous. Maybe even make a few funny videos and something about it, because why not?
Whoops, I fell down again.
But I think Tim Anderson's going to get a special one with Howard Aiken's logo on it. Because,
I was just about to say that.
It's going to be Howard Aiken just on Tim's one.
Just on it.
Because he's special in that way.
Maybe he'll just get done button the jersey and it'll be,
like it'll be right here. It'll be right there for him. So that'd be nice.
I'm gonna stick because it is so incongruous just to begin with that that's even some kind of sponsor for T-shirts. I'm gonna stick with my Village of Bedford Park. I think the White Sox are someone going to put the Village of Bedford Park on their sleeve. Why not? It's not the least sensical.
I mean, I can
nationwide.
Oh, nationwide! Do not encourage them.
God.
You can it's going to be like a QR code, and it's like links you to Spotify, and it's Jason and Steve singing.
I'm not a fan of auto-tune. I hate it. I don't really understand today's music because, again, I come out like a grandpa all the time. But that is a cause for auto. Could you please, someone in the booth, Mean Joe Groove, please auto-tune those guys. I'm really tired of hearing it. And I don't even watch many games anymore. Whoops. Uh-oh.
But they always had a quick turnaround, so they're out of shape.
I literally threw my headphones off because I couldn't get to my mute button in time today.
Yeah. At least the White Sox probably won't have there's no way they could do the Marlins thing and have a big ADT, like an ADT bigger than the logo on their chest, it seems like, on their sleeve. Because I saw that one when watching some Marlins game. It wasn't even any of the Marlins Northsiders games this weekend. Yeah. But I saw the package. I was just like, "That's nasty. I don't like that at all."
I don't know why they debuted so big. It was weird. The Mets, to their credit, the Mets adjusted it, got it to sort of vibe with the colors of the jersey. So now I guess it's some sort of inconspicuous. Way better than it was.
Wait. The Astros did too. A huge one. The Oxy one, right?
Oxy.
And the jokes that were flying that day were just so good because it was the first national TV game of the year, and one. They lost to the White Sox.
That's embarrassing enough. You can end the story there.
They had a jersey sponsor logo that said the word Oxy in America. We all know what they mean, but we all know what we mean.
Yeah. Well, they deserve it. Even the Mets didn't deserve that patch. Come on, but they adjusted it. So I guess these are subject to tweaking. So the Marlins will shrink ADT. Who's going to break into Marlins Park and steal?
I would say who cares about Marlins Park anyway? The statue is on the outside now. You don't have to break
the one thing that they should have kept in there. Got stolen.
Yeah, it's goofy and fun, like the White Sox should be, but aren't.
Yeah. Okay, well, our wannabe, what is it called? Fish Stripes? Our wannabe Fish Stripes podcast is, we can't use SBN names anymore. Fish something podcast is going to conclude. Everyone is in the process of relocating to, sorry, your move is off, Chrystal. You're moving down south. We're all going to regather in Miami. We'll proudly adorn our ADT patches and talk about that team. Talk about teal or whatever their colors are now. Hey, they beat the Cubs that time. I'll always have a soft spot for the Marlins. Way to go. Way to go, Florida, Miami.
Didn't they just do something gimmicky about that game, the Marlins?
Yes. Steve Bartman, weekend. Yeah. Pretty tacky.
What?
Yeah.
They did. Honestly, kind of tacky.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Oh, Steve Bartman Appreciation Weekend.
Yeah.
Classy is a bad
Steve
term,
Bartman
but
hates
not too
baseball
classy.
now, so I don't know if we should be doing
private citizen. Leave the poor bastard alone.
Yes,
slowly. He's done enough. He has dealt with enough.
All right.
He had to get the baseball burned. Which, if I was him, I would have got the baseball tattooed on me.
They invited him to the parade, though. Him and Sammy Sosa. And they both kind of just gave that team the middle finger.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I have things about Sammy Sosa I could say that I will not say on this podcast.
Okay.
But also, I'm shocked that team hasn't tried to bring him back. Hey, maybe Jerry be like, "Hey, Sammy, you played for the White Sox.
He did.
Come back.
He did.
Let's do
Another
Sammy
great-
Sosa night."
Another great Larry Himes trade. It's true. That guy stuck around for more than a couple months. But apparently he couldn't get along with anybody, says Jerry Reinsdorf. Okay, well, I guess for one more week, we'll be Sox Populi, and we'll keep watching the White Sox, and Chrystal will cover 13 different games and probably drive somewhere else. But Chrystal, Dante, Ryiin, thank you all for taking some time to try to cope with, oh my God, the good fortune of a 5-2 stretch. Let's see how that sits in Kansas City and then back home. We'll be talking at you, I don't know, in a week or so, something like that. Maybe a few days. Sharing Sox guys are off. Lee's traipsing through like Europe or something. I think they're going to try and do like an Ireland podcast. So that'll be fun to listen to the audio going in and out. That's gonna be awesome. Can't wait for that. The rumored was Berto from West Side that I think he's big. I think he's big time in Sox Populi. I think he's big time. And Coletti, come on. We know where you got your start. What are you trying to do here? Come on. Anyway, we got podcasts coming. We got visiting dugouts. They're probably going to be like 8 before we do the next Sox Pop. We got Sox Pop on the farm. That's coming in a couple days. Darren Black, I think he got his 4th rotator cuff or something. He had to get stitches out or something last week. So we're going to pack 2 weeks of information into one program. It's not possible. The system is so good now. It's not possible. It's going to have to be like a 3-episode special. Anyhow, we got podcasts coming, whatever. We'll probably do something fun like a show and tell at some point. But hey, White Sox gave us something to talk about. They won 5 games in a week. That happens again. Guess what? We'll be back in a week talking again about them. We'll find out where Chrystal drove to next to see redacted lose a game. Oh, I hope that doesn't happen to you ever again, Chris. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate you sticking with Sox Populi, even through the good times.